it's not even, I'm honestly at the point, it's really not worth it. I mean, like, I thought this was going to be an actual discussion where we would give each other our ideas and maybe come out with something.
Well, you
But
agreed to a debate on Twitter.
I mean, yeah, we agreed to a debate, but a debate doesn't have to be somebody's right and somebody's wrong.
Hi everyone, so the other day I debated Anisa Joma or Yoma. I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but some of you may know her as iDubbbz's girlfriend. And the debate proposition was that vegan diets are superior in terms of health compared to omnivorous diets, and that reducing the unnecessary suffering, death, and exploitation of animals as much as reasonably possible is a moral obligation. Now, I handily won that debate. Anisa doesn't have any kind of diet and health science or philosophy background. She wasn't able to read and truly understand any research. She was completely ignorant of the overall scope of research as it relates to certain health conditions like heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. And she was also copying fallacious arguments that she heard from Chris Kresser without actually understanding the arguments she was making.
So what you're saying then is that in the group of non-meat eaters in general, they all pretty much, they didn't because it was my understanding what you were saying is that they did separate the smokers within that group and the non-smokers, which confused me because it was to my knowledge that none of them smoked and none of them
No,
drank.
there were vegans who smoked and drank. It was just much lower.
And it's brought up and considered in the study,
Yeah,
is what you're telling me.
you can go through it. There are also other follow-up analyses to the data set where they looked at overall cancer risk. And they also used like the same multivariate analyses where they adjusted for smoking, BMI, a lot of things. I think they even adjusted for race, socioeconomic background. It's all through the study. Let me actually try to
Yeah, because I'd like
find
to see that
one
because
paper for you.
it was my understanding that none of that happened within the group.
No, it did. I've almost got it for you here. So this is titled Vegetarian Diets and the Incidence of Cancer in a Low-Risk Population. So they took data from the Adventist Health Study 2, 69,120 participants. Their finding was that vegetarian diets seem to confer protection against cancer. They used cancer-specific sites, and I think the biggest association was vegans had the lowest risk of female-specific cancers. Vegan diet showed statistically significant protection for overall cancer in both genders combined, and for female-specific cancer, so breast, ovarian cancer. And if you actually go to the full text is available. So if you go down and look at the charts, age-adjusted and multivariate adjusted hazard ratio for anatomical cancer. So like they go through the adjustments they made. HR adjusted by age, multivariate HR model adjusted by race, family history, cancer, education, smoking, alcohol, age at menarche, so age when women develop periods, pregnancy, breastfeeding, oral contraceptives, hormone replacement therapy, menopause status. So like pretty much everything you can think of, they adjusted for in the data set. Again, they're not using crude data here. They're not just taking a population of people who smoke, drink, overweight, and eat meat and comparing them to people who are vegan, eat healthy, exercise, don't smoke, and just say, oh, well, look at that. These people are dying less or getting less disease. No, they adjust for these different confounding factors to get the most fair comparison.
Mm-hmm.
So again, like according to the Adventist Health Study 2, vegan diets confer protection for all-cause cancer, and especially female-specific cancers. I think the difference was pretty massive. Something like a 45% reduction in breast cancer risk.
She also did not provide one single shred of evidence for any of her health claims, and she ended up relying on personal anecdotal claims and even resorted to using logical fallacies like appeal to popularity, appeal to nature, and even ad hominem attacks, where she was accusing me of being aggressive, and she didn't even realize she was making logical fallacies because she does not know what logical fallacies are. Again, she doesn't really have any kind of philosophy background.
I get it. You're very confident with your shit, but I feel like a lot of the shit, it's just like blind confidence with, I feel like you're putting a lot of value on what you consider high cholesterol, disregarding
Well,
all the studies that tell you.
Anisa, why is the research I just showed you not valid or lacking in validity or coming into question?
It's valid, but I feel like I've brought up things that are equally as valid. I also
Well, bring it up. Well, no, bring it up. Show us the research. Show us
I'm
the
just I,
research that you think is valid, and we can hash this out.
are we good? How much does exercise factor into this? Are we studying? Are we looking at how much
we
people work
looked
out
at
with
we looked at
cardio?
multivariate analyses. You can't use that as an excuse. These are all multivariate analyses that take into consideration BMI, smoking, alcohol, exercise. So you can't use that as an excuse.
It's you're not listening. It's a question.
I am listening to you. It's fine, but you're repeating the same arguments that have already been refuted.
Can I ask you a question,
Sure.
just out of curiosity?
Sure.
If you're so confident that eating meat and byproducts are so deadly, why do you think more nutritionists don't push for vegan and vegetarian? Like, if these studies are so concrete and what you're saying is so absolute fact, as you seem to want to preach to me, because I feel like right now I'm sitting in a lecture, and you're just, no, you're sitting there lecturing me essentially, like I feel like I'm back in the worst class that I've ever been in my life.
Well, Anisa, I'm not trying to be rude to you or be confrontational or anything. Like, this is just
Can you
It's cool. It's cool. I'm just trying to make it clear that I'm not trying to antagonize you.
No, because you're doing a really good job. So my question is, if this is so fact, then why isn't every nutritionist on the block preaching this? Why isn't my nutritionist, who is a major in, that's what he does, why does he tell me to eat meat then?
Look, Anisa, I don't care why most nutritionists don't recommend a vegan diet. Literally doesn't matter. You're just making an appeal to popularity fallacy. You're making an appeal. Do you understand what an appeal to popularity fallacy is?
No, it's
so you don't understand what an appeal to popularity fallacy is. Do you want me to explain it to you?
Are idiots, except for you. That's what you're saying.
No, I'm not saying they're idiots. I'm just saying they're ignorant. Do you understand what an appeal to popularity fallacy is?
If you don't think it was that even of a thing, where a lot of people say, there's a lot of dietitians, or most dietitians say, there's not a cookie cutter diet and everybody's different, and some of us should be eating meat, some of us shouldn't. Jordan Peterson literally only eats steaks. My question is,
well, I don't care what Jordan Peterson eats, but
that's an important thing. If that benefits him, and then some people,
how do you know that benefits him? How do you know that benefits him?
Claim.
So because he claims it? So you're relying on personal anecdotal claim.
You claim that veganism is good, and you've brought up.
And I rely on data for that fact. I'm not relying on personal anecdotal claims. Just because Jordan Peterson claims that eating nothing but meat has benefited him, that doesn't mean it's true. That's a personal anecdotal claim.
It was a very small example on a bigger point that I'm trying to make, that most dietitians will tell you there's not a cookie cutter diet.
Right, and that's because
some people benefit from meat, some people may not, some people benefit from keto.
Okay, again,
and most dietitians will tell you that.
Okay, I don't care what dietitians will tell you. That's an appeal to popularity fallacy. Do you understand what an appeal to popularity fallacy is?
I'm assuming you're going to tell me, and I'm assuming that it basically means because everybody's telling you to do something, that it's automatically correct.
Yeah, that's essentially true, and that's basically what you're arguing.
No, I don't think I'm arguing that.
And when it came to the ethical portion of the debate, her moral justification for killing animals was completely logically inconsistent, and after I pointed out these logical inconsistencies, she refused to concede that there were logical contradictions in her own reasoning, and again, she resorted to using ad hominem attacks, where she accused me of being a dishonest liar, and she described me as militant, while providing absolutely no logically valid arguments of her own.
Okay, Anisa, Anisa, I want to get this. Look, I want to get this settled. If I say it's okay to kill animals, no, if I say it's okay to kill something because I lack empathy, but it's not okay to kill something else because I have empathy, you don't see that as.
It's not going to get settled, man. You know what? The truth.
You're not actually. Well, no. Look, you're not coming up with any counter arguments, and you're just saying I'm not making any sense. So I want an explanation for why I'm not making any sense.
It feels like you're projecting. I didn't say you're not making any sense. I said that you're twisting a lot of what I'm saying.
Then
in
correct me.
whatever you want it
Then
to
correct
be.
me. I'm interested in having an
You're not
honest conversation
this
about
is
this, but you're
again,
not correcting me.
that is the second biggest lie you've
No,
said
I'm
in
not. So prove I'm lying. How am I lying? So again, prove that I'm actually twisting around what you're saying, and
you're
you're not. Again, you're not giving examples. You're just claiming that I'm doing this.
I mean, the word fallacy has been brought up a million times.
That's because you've made appeal to popularity fallacies and appeal to nature fallacies. That's why.
Again, I get it. We have different opinions. It's not going to change. Clearly, I'm too stupid to understand what you're saying.
No,
And that's like I'm
you're
at the
not too
point. I'm
stupid.
just
You're
fully
not too stupid.
like we're good.
Look,
but
I think you're getting. Look, I think you're getting upset and a little too emotionally invested into this. And
I'm just really tired. Like that's
okay, well, look, when you're complaining that I'm pointing out logical fallacies that you're making, that sounds to me like you're uncomfortable with me actually making arguments.
we're good. That's I'm so at that point. If this is your view of winning, which is talking very aggressively for a period of time, very confident, you've won, man. Like
I've made arguments. Well, no, I've made arguments and presented evidence. You haven't. So yes, I have won on that basis alone.
Well, then there you go.
Okay, so you agree that you don't have any evidence for your claims and your arguments are completely logically inconsistent? Look, if you don't agree on that, I want to continue this conversation. I don't want to misrepresent your views. I actually am interested in having an honest conversation about this.
Yeah, I'm done. I mean, like I thought this was going to be an actual discussion where we would give each other our ideas and maybe come out with something.
Well, you agreed to a debate on Twitter.
I mean, yeah, we agreed to a debate, but a debate doesn't have to be somebody's right and somebody's wrong.
Well, no, if there's a logical inconsistency in your argument, I'm going to point it out. And I think right now I have pointed out a logical inconsistency in your argument. You're not willing to admit it, and you're claiming there isn't a logical inconsistency in your argument. So in order to progress the conversation, you're going to have to prove that there isn't a logical inconsistency in your argument.
That you're arguing that these things are concrete, like as if like culture and other things don't play a major factor in like all of these arguments.
Okay, no, again, we're talking about your moral values. We're not talking about like what the majority of the culture thinks. We're not talking about what the newspapers believe, what most people believe. We're talking about your moral values.
It's like I understand vegans want to like get their shit out there, but it's really
if I'm being dishonest, point it out. Explain. You haven't explained this far.
Christian shit.
Sorry?
It's just very militant.
And if you haven't seen our debate yet, I suggest you go and watch it. I'll leave a link in the description, but I'm sure Anisa will claim that I'm misrepresenting what actually happened during our debate, which brings us to this video. Now, I don't want to share any personal messages between Anisa and I out of respect for her. I don't know if she's okay with me sharing anything, but she is refusing to acknowledge that she lost the debate, and she is continuing to accuse me of lies and dishonesty. And I've asked her to provide evidence of me lying or being dishonest, and she's flat out refusing, so once again, she's making personal attacks against me in place of real arguments, and she's not providing any evidence. And she's even unwilling to discuss this in private, so off of YouTube. And I'm assuming she's doing this because she's extremely embarrassed that she lost the debate in such a fashion. She was completely out of her depth in every topic, and I'm guessing she did not expect that at all. So I did watch Anisa's stream on her Twitch channel, and a lot of her followers were in support of her and actually believe that she won the debate, which is a little surprising considering how miserably she lost. But because there are so many of her fans feeding into her delusions that she was right and she actually won the debate, I'm issuing out a public challenge to any of Anisa's fans, any fans of iDubbbz, or even iDubbbz himself. I'd love to debate Anisa's boyfriend on this topic if he's interested. So if you believe that Anisa won the debate, or you believe that any of my arguments are invalid and can be refuted, then please, let's set up a public debate. I don't care if you have any real social media presence. I don't care if you have a YouTube channel, Twitch channel. Don't care if you're a big name, you can have a small, tiny channel or no channel at all. If you think you can refute any of my arguments or the ethical principles of veganism, then let's have a live debate. And just to make things absolutely clear, the debate proposition is that vegan diets are superior in terms of health compared to omnivorous diets, and that reducing the unnecessary suffering, death, and exploitation of animals as much as reasonably possible is a moral obligation. And of course, we don't have to debate both of these topics, so if you are lacking in knowledge or expertise in one of the two topics, you can choose to just debate either one. So if you don't know much about nutrition, then we can just debate ethics, but if you know a fair bit about nutrition, but you don't know much about moral philosophy, and you feel that you don't have a strong argument against the ethical principles of veganism, then we can just debate health. And just to be even more clear with the ethical portion of this debate, ethics are inherently subjective. Everyone is going to have differing opinions on what is and is not ethical, so I would consider it a debate victory if I either point out logical inconsistencies with my opponent's arguments, or if my opponent bites the bullet on these logical inconsistencies and then claims it is morally justified to take away human rights just in order to be logically consistent. And if you want to get into contact with me, then please message me on Twitter. Again, I will accept any debate opponents. I know a lot of people are going to accuse me of trying to debate larger channels like iDubbbz, but again, I don't care how big your YouTube channel is. I'll debate Anisa, I'll debate iDubbbz, I'll debate any of their fans or followers so long as they believe they can challenge my debate proposition. This is something that I sincerely care about, and I'm extremely disappointed and offended that Anisa would sink so low as to accuse me of lying and make personal attacks against my character just because she lost a debate. So if I'm a liar, if I'm dishonest, if my arguments are invalid like Anisa claims, then please come forward and prove it. Anisa isn't willing to do that because she knows she's incapable of doing so. She knows she's wrong, so she's running and hiding from a debate and just making personal attacks against me. So if you think you can do better than her, then message me on Twitter, we'll set up a debate, and as always, keep making those vegan gains.
Beef. What a relief. When will this poisonous product cease? This is another public service announcement. You can believe it or you can doubt it. Let us begin now with the cow. The way it gets to your plate and how.